An interesting phenomenon is going on within the Democrat Party. Like the church and like our education system, they're losing men, and I think it's for the same reason. Let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. This is Keith, and welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. There is a phenomenon going on. I think it's kind of riding under the undercurrent of the great abortion debate that's going on right now. Something that's happening behind the scenes, but I think it's related to the abortion debate. It's the fact that men are being driven away. And it's been going on for a little while now. They've been driven away from certain institutions like the education system, mostly colleges and universities, the church. All these things become very feminized and female focused, and men can sense it. They know it's not for them, so they're pulling away. Same thing's happening in politics. Politics is becoming very, well, it's been polarized for quite some time, and it's polarized in a way where it's turned out to be, it's not so much left versus right, it's becoming masculine versus feminine. The the Democrat Party is becoming overtly feminine. I mean, things like um, Tom Perez, the head of the DNC, coming out and saying that black women are the backbone of the Democrat Party. Nothing about guys, black, white, or whatever. It's mostly a female party, and that's because the Democrat Party represents the suffering, the suffocating female, the suffocating mother who just wants you dependent and gets upset if you start trying to move out of the house and whatnot. She wants you always there. That's what the Democrat Party is starting to represent. Even the males, if you look at them on TV, the ones on the Democrat side have kind of a feminine kind of way about them. And I'm not saying they're acting like effeminate, like you'd say, like when we were kids, you see somebody who acts like a girl in mannerisms. It's more of their emotional range and their emotional responses where these guys tend to act more like women that are in touch with their feelings than the stoicism that most men have learned how to master. The abortion debates really brought that to the fore. The attacks on Justice Thomas are getting a lot of attention from men, particularly black men are starting to notice. As I do a lot of, well, not a lot, but I look at videos on YouTube, and I see a lot of young guys, black, white, Hispanic, but in this particular case, I'm noticing a lot of black men are really starting to take notice of how is Clarence Thomas the only black man on the Supreme Court. He's getting all the vitriol, all the hatred. The left cannot help themselves when they see an independent black man. I always joke, and it's just not really so much of a joke, but I talk about the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments being codified into the Constitution specifically because Democrats hate independent black people so much that we had to amend the Constitution 3 times, and there had to be 8 civil rights laws passed in order to keep Democrats away from meddling with and attacking independent black people. And so that's not enough, obviously, because they can't help themselves. If you go on Twitter and see some of the responses about Justice Thomas's, his the what he wrote basically regarding Roe versus Wade and why they reversed it, the responses are just outright racist. There are white people on the left just calling him House N, I don't know what to say it, porch monkey, stuff like that. Just, they don't care. And I always say, look, if you want to know how white leftists feel about all black people, just look at how they treat the black people who disagree with them. That's how they feel about all of us. It doesn't matter just because you agree with them and they're nice to you on the surface. Doesn't mean they want you dating their daughter or whatever. You're still a house and porch porch monkey. Hold on, you're just ones that agreed with them. Because if you could sit there and encourage anyone to disparage anyone else over a racial issue, they'll do it to you too. So you're a fool. Like Samuel L. Jackson, who's out there saying terrible racist things about Clarence Thomas. He's encouraging other white leftists to do the same because they see, oh well, I guess it's safe for me to come out with my inner bigotry that's always been there because other black people, Samuel L. Jackson and people like him, because there are others, if it's okay for him to attack a black person on a racial issue, I can do it too. And they do it. So it's just ironic how the leftists just easily fall back to using terms from the antebellum South and that overseas used to disparage black people in the same exact way that they're using it now. So there's a much difference between them and the Klan. I'd say, in fact, that the biggest difference, like who's worse, a Klansman or a white leftist, or any leftist, to be honest? I say it's the leftist, because a Klansman is only convinced that I'm inferior. A leftist is trying to convince me and my family that I'm inferior. I think that's way worse. But it doesn't work either way because I don't pay one of them any mind. They don't have any power over me. But I think this attack on Clarence Thomas is getting a lot of attention from younger black men who are starting to peel away from the party anyway. So this is just kind of the icing on the cake to be going after Thomas like this. And they're noticing that, again, he's the only black man on the Supreme Court, and he's the focus of attack and hatred. And again, they can't help but see it. So they're taking note, and I've seen the comments online. They don't have that almost that inherent hatred that people had for Clarence Thomas since the 90s, since the Democrats said, sick him, and black people went after him. Because, again, he's independent-minded. So the people who started noticing Clarence Thomas from the 90s, who have no idea what a hated guts, he just do, they're dying off. The newer generation does not have that connection where they're told just to hate blindly just because this person might be conservative. Because a lot of them are starting to discover other groups outside, other political movements outside the Democrat Party. They're, conservative, Republican, they're becoming libertarian. My kids, they've grown up more conservative, libertarian, and it's spreading. So the Democrat message that being independent, being masculine, being, not looking to government for all the answers, those things that they hate are starting to spread, and they don't know how to handle it. So they go back to the name calling and trying to shame people and terrify them, and it's not working. Here's an article that I found recently, and it's about how the Democrat Party is just losing men. I can't scroll through this because I'll show you. I'm gonna have to read it, but I'll just leave this part up. Because when it go down, the words are still there, but you can't really read them. So I'm just going to read through the article, and let's check it out. So it says, this is written in December 2021, so this is last year. So, it's over a year ago, but it's still pertinent because I think the numbers have gotten worse. It says, as Democrats investigate what went wrong with the 2021 elections and what is going wrong headed into the 2022 elections, a similar pattern is emerging. Men are abandoning the party in droves. Just this week, snippets of the Democrat Governors Association post-mortem, that's ominous, of the Virginia governor's race were made public, including a report. This is when Youngkin beat the hell out of Terry McAuliffe and surprised the hell out of him after the Democrats went after parents and made parents a voting bloc. Brilliant idea, by the way, Democrats, making parents your enemy. But, when you're going insane, you're becoming a cult, you don't notice things like that. Anyway, so including a report including the report's conclusion, which read, "We need to address the long-term problems that exist for Democrats with Latinos and black men." Notice they're saying black men. Black women still are, they are the backbone of the Democrat Party, but black men are peeling away. And I think that's bad for the community. I think the men and women should be together in politics. I know personally I'd have a rough time being married to someone with whom my political ideology is completely a polar opposite of it, because it bleeds into other parts of your life too. That's unfortunately, politics is becoming that important, but having political differences is not like it used to be, because politics, takes falls into so many social areas too. Your politics can kind of not guide, but be an indicator of your how you value money, how you raise your children, and so on. So it's not just who you vote for, it's your ideology as well. So again, there's a rift that's between black men and black women. It's just getting worse. But I don't see black men going back to the Democrat Party because it represents the matriarchy that I think has been ruining the black community for decades. I'm not saying we should live in a patriarchy, but men need to lead. And you have too many strong-willed women who are having a hard time allowing men to lead. But I'm telling you, as a father of a young man, they're a young black man. They're not the same. They're not. It's not like they'd rather marry black women and be with black women. But these young guys that are coming up now, they don't care. They'll Latino, white, Asian, whatever. They'll date whoever. The women are women. That's what they've discovered. And if they want someone that's going to cooperate with them, not someone's going to come home and fight with them all the time. So I think that's leading to the rift between the community. So anyway, let me not drift too far. Back to politics. So it says, on the background from a source with knowledge of the findings in the memo, the Washington Examiner has obtained the underlying data driving this conclusion. It turns out that Democrat candidate Terry McAuliffe, who got slaughtered, actually improved on Joe Biden's margin among black women. He's up 78%. For Joe Biden's, Biden had 78% and McAuliffe had 87%. So it went up quite a bit, like 11 points for McAuliffe. Is it 11? Yeah, anyway, I think it's 9. But at the same time, McAuliffe's support among black men fell off a cliff. Biden had plus 74 and McAuliffe had plus 55. That is a drop. This growing gender gap among blacks is also evident among Hispanics. We know about that. Hispanics, I think the Democrats have lost the Hispanic vote, to be honest. So why are men leaving the Democrat Party? Perhaps it's because the entire Democrat agenda seems designed to make men irrelevant and men have begun to notice. Yeah, of course we've noticed. They don't really like us. I did a video on basically suggesting or concluding the only men, especially black men, that the Democrat Party finds useful are dead black men. George Floyd, made a big deal about him. He died. That's when he was the most useful to the Democrat Party. And guys are noticing. Look, no one's going to die for your party, so you better find some other way to use black men or just let us go. Anyway, consider the sideshow Biden's White House. Consider the slideshow. I was thinking sideshow because it is a clown act. Consider the slideshow Biden's White House released to promote their Build Back Better agenda this October. Very similar to a slideshow. Telling you sideshows here sound so much better. Produced by President Barack Obama's 2012 campaign featuring fictional Julia Biden's Linda goes through the same New Democrat programs, helping her along the way. We see Linda pregnant with her son Leo, but Leo's father is not mentioned. See, he got left out, kicked to the curb. When we see Linda benefit from expanded child tax credit, government subsidized health care, and government pre-K, but no man shares in their life. It's as if fathers don't exist. Yeah, not the Democrat Party. With BLM, they had removed this from the website, but the 13 principles. First it was 12, because I read it from the beginning. They had their 12 principles, and one of them was dismantling of the patriarchy and the traditional male-led family. So there was nothing there in BLM for black men at all. None of their 13 principles had anything to do with black men. Amazingly, you saw black men with BLM shirts on. I bet you they didn't read 13 principles, and I know that for a fact because I knew someone who did follow BLM, and I had to tell him what the 13 principles were. Don't know if he stopped following it, but at least you can't say he doesn't know. So yeah, not only do these programs seem designed to make men irrelevant, many of them actually make it harder for men to marry the women in their lives. According to the Tax Policy Center, for example, a mother making $19,000 a year would lose almost $1,000 a year in expanded tax credit benefits if she were to get married. The subsidized daycare and Build Back Better also contains steep benefit cliffs that punish couples who tie a knot. So Build Back Better is like BLM, but they actually put money behind it. They don't want you married. They want you to be single ladies. They want you to be dependent on the government. And there's no place for men in that. Democrats may not care if mothers raise their children alone. 73% of them stay unmarried parents and can raise them just as well as married couples. But reality is quite different. While many boys raised by single mothers do turn into fine young men, overall, boys from single-parent households fare far worse, on average, than boys raised in married households. Look, it wasn't super common to run into guys that were raised by women when I was a kid, but there were a few. And as you become an adult, you can notice the difference between the guys and women too, who are raised without a father. Especially guys. Again, they just emote differently. They act differently. They're more sensitive. They're more prone to violence and outbursts of temper because they don't know how to behave as a guy. And that's just not my opinion. I know the guys who feel and have said the same thing. Well, enough of that article, but you get the picture. The Democrat Party is losing black men in particular, again because they're feeling like they're being singled out and attacked. So you want to go where you're wanted, and right now black men and men in general are just not wanted in the Democrat Party. They're going to pay for it. Again, I think they've lost the Hispanic community for a long time. Maybe it's the whole machismo thing. They're just not going for this feminized lifestyle that the Democrats have been pushing. But again, I think this new generation of young black men, they're not going for it either. I don't see them coming back. I follow them online. Again, I have my son and I know his friends, and it's just not happening. There's nothing there for the Democrat Party to attract young men anymore. And I think that's a good thing, because I think the party is headed in a wrong direction, and maybe something's speaking to these young men, and maybe the young women will start following them too when they see the men lead. That's my hope, and that's my comment. What's yours? Like, share, comment, and subscribe.